here's the thing. In my family, when we do family get-togethers for Christmas, we don't actually have it during Christmas. We have it like a couple of days before Christmas. Because then you have like the big family party, and then you have your, okay, everybody get out. Now it's just me and my immediate family. Apparently, my husband, his family, my in-laws, like I told them like, okay, yeah, my family's going to be here for Christmas. They're, okay, great. Dad will be here around the 20th. He'll leave on the 23rd. And they were all like, that's not Christmas. Like my husband looked at me like, that's not Christmas. I was like, yes, that's true. That's 100% accurate. He's like, are we going to have 2 Christmases? And I was just, where are we having the problem here? I don't understand. Where have we broken down? They assumed that coming for Christmas meant like for Christmas. So I've been getting a lot of crap for like, oh, Christmas part 1. We can continue to bullshit, but it's not, we bullshit a lot anyway.
It is customary to begin with bullshit.
Well, it's important.
Yeah, I was just listening to your interview with the Sandy Pug guy, Liam.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Lots of bullshit, yeah.
I'm familiar with your brand of bullshit.
Excellent. I'm so glad.
Although I have to say my fantasy football teams are both losing today, so I'm very sad about that.
Oh, sorry about that. Did you bring the right party balance? Like, you've got to have a fantasy football healer to go with your fantasy football.
I think that's my problem. I think they're all just getting annihilated.
You just brought
it's going to be a TPK all up in the
air.
I hear party composition is very important in fantasy football.
Is there a cat version?
A fantasy cat? Oh, like for the...
Fantasy cat bowl.
For the kitten bowl?
For the kitten bowl, yeah.
No.
Oh, I don't know, but there should be.
Yeah.
Totally
that's incredible.
Fantasy.
Oh my god, who do we... Okay, yeah, we gotta write a letter.
He's Googling it right now.
All right. I'm writing it down.
I drove home from a gaming weekend for 2 hours with people who were really interested in getting the stats for their fantasy football team. So for 2 hours, there was nothing but NFL radio on in the car.
Oh, God.
That's harsh.
I put my headphones on in the backseat and went to sleep.
That's the only reasonable response, actually, I think.
Yeah, I'm into kitten bowl and I'm into rugby. I don't understand American football. But...
Yeah, I don't understand it either. Honestly, I have no touchstone. The only sport I even get into is ice hockey, just because, really, honestly, because my husband is so into it, and then I started watching it. Like, oh my god, these huge men in like armor are whipping around on the ice like figure skaters, and at any moment they could be bare knuckle boxing. This is incredible. So,
yeah, the best sports have blood in them, I think.
Yeah. As a rugby fan, I'm sure you understand.
Oh, all right, the best sports have blood in them. Welcome to my bonus experience. Oh boy, I am really blowing this recording off the chart. Sorry, Margaret.
That's all right. We're out of deadline hell over here, so Margaret's got time to edit.
You're not supposed to answer for Margaret.
Oh, sorry. I'm supposed to keep up the illusion.
I'm quite surprised to hear someone in an American accent call ice hockey, FYI.
I figured I should drop in the ice just in case there's another kind of hockey that I don't know about, because I'm American and there's a lot of things I don't know about. See, there you go. Field hockey. Wow, all right.
For me,
maybe there's also
like
mountain hockey or
mountain
hockey? Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Sea hockey.
Oh, yeah.
Sea hockey is polo.
Yeah.
Shit.
Polo on dolphins. I'm writing that down, actually. That's a great game idea.
We're a bonus experience of 2 American women who don't know a whole lot about sports.
Yes, two queer American women talking with authority about games.
Boom.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
What's the rest of our thing? We're
totally
thrown off thinking about
I did it in the wrong order. We are a podcast with a deeper look at the play experience and the finer details of running and writing games. And I just said that we were 2 queer American women speaking with authority about games. Usually that part comes after, but I did it before because I'm a rebel.
I don't think you can say that.
Also in charge of this show.
Sure. And we swear.
Yeah, I'm mad about it.
So we did it!
Yeah. As you may have noticed from the recording, there are other human beings here with us.
No, who are these?
No, they are Dinosaur Princesses.
Yeah.
Dana and Hamish, please take it away. Go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Hamish Cameron, and I haven't thought about what I'm going to say to introduce myself at all. So I wrote the sprawl, and we just did a game called Dinosaur Princesses, which we kickstarted, and now Dana is going to talk.
My name is Dana. I use they, she pronouns. I am also queer, so that's exciting.
It really is.
Yeah. I am kind of new to the game design side, sort of. I wrote a couple small transfelinism pieces, cyberpunk transfelinism pieces for the Sprawl and the Veil, and now I've been working on Dinosaur Princesses.
Rawr.
Rawr.
So, give us a rundown of what you're here to promote, which, spoiler alert, involves Dinosaur Princesses.
Dinosaur Princesses is a game about dinosaurs who are princesses solving problems together. It's not necessarily about dinosaurs who have princesses, but
or princesses who have dinosaurs.
Yeah,
but it could be. If you
it could be. It could be. You could have a dinosaur whose dinosaur type is dinosaur and like princess rider, or no, a princess.
So there's a question that we get a lot when people hear the name Dinosaur Princesses.
Okay.
When people hear the name Dinosaur Princesses, they often ask, are you dinosaurs who are princesses, or are you princesses who ride dinosaurs?
Yeah.
I
so
mean,
you could be, you
right?
could be dinosaur type princess and princess type dinosaur rider.
So the answer to that question is that you are dinosaurs who are princesses.
Yes.
And you solve problems with your friends.
But optionally, you could ride a dinosaur.
You could be a princess who rides a dinosaur. That would be a totally legitimate and thoroughly approved hack of the game.
Dinosaur on dinosaur. Okay, got it.
You could be a dinosaur riding a dinosaur.
Yeah. I'm on it.
Okay.
So anyway, it's a...
Welcome to BXP. It got weird immediately.
So it's a rules light, story heavy role-playing game. It usually runs best with probably 3 to 5 players, runs in about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And basically, you solve problems with your friends. Yeah, it's a collaborative story game. It's a lot of fun. It kind of runs like a Saturday morning cartoon. It's cool.
So we at Bonus Experience are all about dinosaurs and princesses. So tell us about the game world and what the characters do in it.
Yeah, so the game world isn't defined.
Okay.
You build it at the table. It's actually a no prep game for the facilitator. So the players make their dinosaur princesses and what dinosaur princesses they make and the strengths for the dinosaur princesses start to kind of create the world. And as the dinosaur princesses kind of introduce each other, the facilitator asks leading questions and kind of that, it's not a PBTA game, but in that kind of style. So they might be like, oh, so your dinosaur princess is Lady Razorface. Where does Lady Razorface go to school? And then another one might be Hortensia Bubblefraz. What does your backyard look like? And as you kind of go together, they create the world together. And then the most important part is, as this world building is happening, you're drawing it on a big piece of paper to kind of create everything.
I saw the little map example. I love that, honestly. When I was looking into some alternative like game designs, and I saw what was it, the Quiet Year?
Mm-hmm. Quiet, yeah.
Yeah, where you part of the game is drawing the map of what's going on around you. And I thought that was a really cool, especially because it incorporates more like kid art, which is another thing I'm all about here.
Yeah, when we run it, we usually have like a big box of color pencils or crayons or something around for people to like scribble like their map in cool like kitty colorful art. And that's why the character sheets have space for drawing on as well.
Yeah,
if you really want that kind of engagement.
So so you kind of build the world and then draw it out together, and as you're doing that, either the facilitator might bring a problem to the table that they think would probably like an idea to start with, or often actually as the world building's happening, a problem kind of presents itself. And that's then what the story kind of revolves around. So it could be like the queen's, like wandering teacup, or...
What was the problem we had when we played it on Thursday?
That was giant lobsters had taken over the national forest.
Yeah,
dang.
So one of the players was a park ranger, and one of the players was
A
a
lobsterman.
lobsterman,
Mhm.
like as in a person who fishes for lobsters.
Yeah.
And then so out of just the result of those two, the problem was that there were all these lobsters all over the forest, and it was starting to flood, and we had to deal with that.
Yeah.
Were they like giant lobsters, like
Yeah.
enormous
There was a
enemy
particularly
lobsters?
giant lobster.
Yes.
Yeah, there was the Moby Dick of lobsters. That was the lobsterman's white whale,
Nemesis,
as it
yeah.
were. Yeah. He
Great.
sailed off into the sunset. They. I forget what the pronouns of the lobsterman were.
I think
it was he.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I
it's
think he
because it
sailed
was
off into the
Bobby
sunset.
Potter. Yeah.
He found the amazing flying Bobby Potter sailed off into the sunset on his
Oh, God.
lobster boat after
Because he was a pterodactyl.
Big Snappy McSnappy.
Snappy McClaws.
Snappy McClaws.
Yes.
Yeah. That particular player is a big fan of adding mix
Yeah.
to last names of
Mhm.
creatures.
Yeah,
That's-
Mooples.
As a
In
certain
any game.
je ne sais quoi.
Yeah. It's her brand.
After those two character example names you gave a few seconds ago, I think I'm gonna hire you, Dana, to name all of my characters from now on.
I'm a big fan of names. Coming up with names. Yeah, just
Lady
tweet at me.
Razorface is very good.
Yeah,
I'm
all of
particularly
it.
proud of that one.
Yeah, all of it was excellent, and I'm envious because when I'm put on the spot, I come up with the dumbest names. Sometimes even when I am getting paid to name things.
I did during that game in which I was playing, and Dana was running it. I outsourced it to Twitter, as I usually do. If I can't think of a name, I'm like, "Hey, Twitter, what should I name this? Blah blah blah, whatever it is," and then see if people get back to me.
Yeah, because you were
Usually they
playing
do.
Catosaurus.
No,
right?
I was playing a T-Rex whose princess type was cat.
Oh, that's what it
I
was.
was a T-Rex
Okay.
who liked to curl up in the sun. I had my own sunbeam. It was very good. I curled up in all sorts of spaces that were far too small for me.
Yeah, but your name that you got from crowd surfing was Meowie Sue.
Oh, Meowie Sue. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was particularly
yeah.
good.
That was good.
Yeah, I wish I could remember off the top of my head the person who gave me that name, so I could give them a specific shout out.
So you've brought it up. I don't know if you've said it explicitly, but this sounds like a pretty like kid friendly game.
Mm-hmm.
So what was it like to design something that would appeal to all ages and especially have a home for younger role players?
Yeah, it was interesting because I hadn't done anything like it before. So the origin of the game was that I have a couple of friends back in New Zealand, and they have two kids who were at the time I first started writing it were 4 and 6, and that was now I think a couple of years ago. And so their favorite things were dinosaurs and princesses, sort of both respectively and together. And we were just in some kind of late night discussion, and I said I could write that game, and then I had to, and I did.
So it was almost like a design challenge that you sort of took upon
Almost.
yourself.
Yeah, basically, because I just thought
Make a game that they would both like.
Yeah, and it's kind of like it's a pretty grabby concept, really. I feel like every time we tell somebody that that's what the game is about, they're like, "What? Tell me more."
Yeah, it kind of just the title kind of evokes that Saturday morning feeling of especially now with like She-Ra is back on Netflix.
Yeah.
And
I was just
everyone
watching
is
that.
yeah. I gotta find some time to binge it. But yeah, I don't know. It's Dinosaur Princesses. I not necessarily a question, and I know you've probably gotten a lot of opportunities to talk about this, but I fucking love the coloring book rule book. I think that's probably the coolest idea I've seen in a while, and I'm not sure why more people haven't picked up on this, because everybody loves art of their characters, and to give like a template for like, here you go, just to color it in. I guess for like an actual question part, how did you decide which dinosaurs to include on your coloring book character sheets?
Oh, that is a good question.
I think did you just come up with it randomly?
I forget.
Because that was before I was really working on when you did the art design.
Yeah, so the idea for it to be a coloring book was Dana's idea.
Mm-hmm. I was drinking a lot of beer.
Yeah, and we were discussing it with another designer, a Kiwi designer, Mike Sands, actually, who did Monster of the Week.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, Dana came up with that idea. She was just like, what if it was a coloring book? And we were like, yes, it should be a coloring book.
Because Hamish had always said he wanted it to be kind of like layout, like look like a kid's book.
Yeah.
And I just took it that one step further.
Which is brilliant. I was working pretty closely with the artist, Jay Wall, on that, and I can't remember whether I gave certain art direction. Most of the specifics of the art was theirs. So
it was kind of left up to the artist?
Yeah, I think I had some. I think we together kind of brainstormed some ideas, because whenever I work with artists, I want their input into it a lot. I don't want to just dictate what's on the page and then have them like act like a little drawing robot that fulfills my vision or whatever. I want their creative input as well as my creative input, which is kind of my whole philosophy behind design as well anyway. Like I want the rules to both make it easy for myself to run it and easy for me to incorporate everybody at the table and their creative energies into the story that you tell. So
I mean, I agree with that artist thing completely, because why would I hire an artist if I didn't want their take on it?
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
You want something of their style, and you want their they are a cool creative person, and I want them in the game.
You are the professional. I am hiring you to do a job.
Exactly.
Like.
Right.
You guys touched on a little bit about like you have a kind of dinosaur and you have a kind of princess. Tell us more about character creation, because I'm really curious.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. So you have you basically decide two things to start with: your dinosaur type and your princess type. And those aren't restrictive. So your dinosaur could be a pterodactyl, but it could also be a cat or a train. And then you decide on two words that describe the strengths of your dinosaur. So it might be like fast and tall, or large and
Scaly.
Yeah, I'm like having trouble with words. And then feathered, yeah. And then you choose your princess type, and that's kind of like your profession. So it could be like an aquanaut or a news anchor or a chef or CEO or something like that. And then you choose two words that describe your strengths as your princess type. And that's basically character creation right there. And the other half of character creation, to me, the most important part is like coloring, drawing, and accessorizing your dinosaur princess.
Right.
Yeah. Very important.
That definitely takes longer.
But yeah, I find that character creation, kind of for as simple as like deciding those bits is, it takes a while, because people are usually having so much fun like thinking about their things to be and drawing and showing their drawings off to the other players. And it's definitely something when I run the game, I don't rush at all, because that's part of what sets the tone and gives time for like people to start ruminating in their heads things about who their dinosaur princess is, and sort of already having ideas like what that world might look like that they are in.
Now, I don't know if this is something that would like, if you'd have to kind of tweak the dial on it depending on like which age group you're playing with. But if I drew my dinosaur princess with an enormous laser sword on her back, does that mean, is that now in the game? Can I say, well, I drew her with a laser sword, so I'm going to use my laser sword on the lobsters?
Yes.
Yeah, as long as everyone's into it.
Yeah.
And the game is really about the kind of, I mean, to use the phrase from with Liam, radical acceptance of everything like that.
Nice.
Because anytime you watch like a Saturday morning cartoon, like weird stuff happens all the time.
Yeah, I ran.
And it's just part of the world, right? It just happens. Like,
it's kind of like almost like the axe cop idea of it. Like, I just decided that this baby is also a demon.
Exactly.
Yeah, I ran it once where their pterodactyl had a chainsaw arm and laser eyes.
Yes.
And it was awesome.
That's incredible.
Their princess type was destroyer with the heart of a poet. It was so good. It was so good. And this was the first time that person had ever played a role-playing game.
They were doing it absolutely correctly. They knocked it out of the park.
Which is part of the thing with Dinosaur Princesses, is that it's very, 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 very friendly to new role players because the rule system is so light and it's a very fun, creative sort of game. But without like the sort of creativity where you have to worry about looking cool, it's more about like we're just gonna have a lot of fun and tap into what it's like to be a kid. Yeah. And also because it's written to be able to be played by kids, it's easier for people who have never played a role-playing game as adults or whatever to jump into it.
Yeah, there's no charts or like piles of complicated dice mechanics or modifiers or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Now, spoilers. Ray has children.
I do have children.
Is an expert on this topic.
Yes, they're older now, so they're unfortunately heading into that age where they're trying really hard to be cool. So it might be kind of a hard sell to get them to play a game like Dinosaur Princesses, but I don't know. It could happen.
That's right. You can play.
Once they get Dad involved in it too, I'm sure they'll be like, oh well, if Dad's doing it, then this must be cool. Well, hello, friends. Welcome to the mid-episode break. It's just me in here today. Monica's got the day off. I'm stuck at the office, which is actually pretty cool, I guess, because they let us talk about role-playing games all day. You know, whatever. Not a whole lot to talk about, except to thank people for their continuing support of our work here, if you can call it work. Am I right? Let's thank not Dave for sending us some coffee. I don't know what his name is, but it's definitely not Dave. Thank you for your monetary support of our endeavors. If you would like to do what this mysterious stranger not named Dave has done for us, you can go to coffee.com/BXPcast, where you can send us a small monetary donation, like a tip jar, basically. Also, thank you to Mimi, Meepsalon on Twitter, for bringing up the possibility of us discussing how to ensure diversity as a GM. Like, we talked about the importance of diversity in your NPCs, but not how to, like, really enforce that and make sure that it's, you know, that you're following through on it. That's a great idea, and we are adding it to the topic list, Mimi. Thank you so much for reaching out to us on Twitter. Also, Michael Phillips, Ronin Kakuhito on Twitter, wanted to know what our feeling was about stovetop popcorn, because for just a bit more than an air popper, you can get a hot plate spinning popper, which I'm all about, personally. I don't have access to that yet, but I can sense that it will become a part of my future life, because microwaves, man, they're just too convenient, and I don't trust it. Later in our interview here with Dana and Hamish, you'll hear me ask about how kids react to the pronoun section of their character sheet. And at the time, Dana didn't have any information for me, but then they got back to me later on Twitter to let me know they actually had someone get back to them with some playtest info, including a 7 and 10-year-old. The 7-year-old uses they, them pronouns, and was so excited to see that included in an RPG. Like, not just included, but like specifically suggested and encouraged. And I wanted to make sure that you guys heard that in the podcast, because honestly, it made me a little emotional. I think that shit's great. As you know, as you've probably heard, Bonus Experience is now a part of the Misdirected Mark Network. We're really happy to be here. These guys are awesome. Not just, like, for the support network and all of the great insight and advice we're getting as newbie podcasters, but also because the shows themselves are great. Shows like Pandas Talking Games, where Phil and Senda answer your questions about RPGs from the perspective of one-shots and campaigns with some panda silliness. You know how pandas get. So if you're looking for a new podcast, check them out, and check out all the other great things they have on Misdirected Mark as well. All right, I think break time's over, so let's get back to it. Let's get back to talking about Dinosaur Princesses.
So you guys described Dinosaur Princesses as a collaborative problem-solving game. So can you tell us more about like specific mechanics that you may have included to facilitate that kind of teamwork?
Yeah. So the way the main mechanic works is that you sort of you look at your character, you're faced with a problem, you pull out the kind of words or adjectives you have on your sheet that help you solve it, and each of those contributes a dice to your pool. The GM is going to have a bunch of dice, and they're probably going to have more dice than you do. So you look at your small dice pool and you look at their big dice pool, and then you say to the other people around the table, will you help me? And then they look at their sheets, pull out dice, and then contribute to your pool. And by the time everybody has helped you, you should have a lot more dice than the GM. So then you roll those dice, and so that's basically the system. The basic idea is that on your own, you could theoretically do and solve any of the sort of individual steps of the problem, but it'll be way easier with your friends helping you. Right? So maybe you can go it alone, but there's a good high chance that you'll fail. But if you have your friends, then you're probably going to succeed. So it's to encourage that kind of, like, everybody's in it together, everybody's helping. All of the roles are kind of conflict resolution rather than task resolution. So you're all banding together to put in your input to how you are together solving the problem in the scene.
Cool. So it's like it's a pretty important facet of the game. Like having to say, okay, will you help me? How could you please? How will you help me?
Yeah,
as opposed to, I'm going to do it by myself.
Right, every role in the game, you're asking for help, and then people are helping. It's not just like I think I can work out a way to help you in this particular instance, but most of the time you're doing it yourself, like most games are, or even in Powered by the Apocalypse games with sort of helping mechanics, as just about all of them have. You don't do that every single role. I mean, maybe in certain playstyles you do, but it's not kind of built into the system in the same way.
So I love the idea of part of the rule literally being asking for help.
Yeah, that is absolutely right there.
So what happens if someone says no?
I've never had that happen.
I've never had that happen. Usually the only way that would happen is if they look at their sheet and they can't think of a way to help. Like their words just don't really seem to match up with whatever the sort of solution that is being attempted is. And if that happens, they can not help now, but they can make a cheering word. They'll like cheer on the team, and they'll create their own new word that they can use later. So if they end up in some situation where they really like the words that they have, but maybe they're not super useful in certain types of situation, they can come up with some kind of like new word that everybody can then use to help in future situations.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah, I could think of adults specifically who might think that saying no would be interesting.
Yeah, I haven't had that happen, and I think part of it is, you're going into this game and with this kind of soft, friendly feel, and when you're being told kind of like having the introduction to the game and kind of told about what the rules are and everything, part of it is this is a collaborative story game where you solve problems together. So you have to, with any game, I feel like you have to buy into the game a bit. Right. And since it's specifically built around like being collaborative and helping each other out, like friendship is magic. I think in of that self, that kind of mitigates that from happening.
The other reason, there's two main things that I see, and one of them is if you do that, then you're fighting against the tone thing that Dana is pointing out. But the other thing is that in every role, it's not one dinosaur princess against the GM and you're helping them. It's all of the dinosaur princesses together with one person as the kind of leader in this particular example.
True.
So there's no case where, I might like hold out of this one so that I can get the glory later. It's always, if you do that, you're all going to be sort of on the back foot, as it were, going into the next thing. Every time there's a challenge, and it kind of rotates around who will be the person who's like in the lead of any particular scene, and rolling the dice. But anytime you're trying to solve a step, you are all trying to solve the step together.
Yeah, if you say no, then you're not actually participating in the scene, really, and that would be boring.
And you're just not really playing the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Point, actually.
It's like, why'd you show up here?
Yeah.
Right.
Give me that character sheet. You are no longer a dinosaur princess.
No more crayons.
I'm taking that chance around.
Taking the crayons and the glittery stickers. That, honestly, that would be devastating. If I messed up the game so bad they took away my glittery stickers.
So does it rotate through each player and their princess's problem? like is a typical play session like Monica, Dana is facilitating the game, and Monica, Ray, and Hamish are playing, and Monica's Train Princess is the first person. You said Train was a viable option.
Totally.
I'm one of those people who's like, oh, you said something that's not on the cover. I'm going to do the weird thing.
Monica's
good,
yes, Monica's defense lawyer Train Princess is
awesome.
Like has the first problem. Like, do I go first, and then we all work together to solve defense lawyer Train Princess's problem, and then we go to Ray, and then we go to Hamish, and that's a session of play.
I really want to play this game.
But no, because there is one problem that you all have. So the GM will ask all those questions. Oh, and by the way, the GM is called the paleontologist, and so the paleontologist asks all these questions at the start while you're making your characters, and then we'll come up with one kind of unifying problem for the dinosaur princesses to solve. It might be that the teapot has gone missing, like the teapot that you need for the royal banquet coming up later that day or something like that, and you all have to together solve that problem. And then you, as the dinosaur princesses, will work out how you're going to solve that problem, like what the steps are you need to do to get the teapot back.
Defense lawyer Train Princess delivers subpoenas to every suspect.
Right, okay, so that maybe the first step is like, okay, we need to find out who has it, right? So that's a step, and maybe the second one is then we need to subpoena them to get them to bring it back. And then the third one is
trial, I guess.
Prosecute them to the full extent of the law.
And then you celebrate with a tea party.
Because this teapot thievery will not stand.
Dinosaur Princess courtroom drama.
Dum dum.
So it tends to be that depending on like what step you're working on, like generally one princess might take a bit of the lead just based on kind of what it is. So in the subpoena scene, the defense lawyer Train would be like, oh yeah, here's kind of like what I'm thinking, and everyone will kind of draw in their bits, but so it kind of just naturally flows.
Subpoenaed. Oh my god, I want to play that so much.
I would end every sentence in.
Oh yes.
Oh no.
Yep.
So Train is specifically on the potential list, specifically because I want people to play Thomas the Tank Engine with it. And there I totally want Thomas the Tank Engine when one of the tank engines is a lawyer.
That'd be so good.
Oh, good.
Dear all half-dozen bonus experience fans, someone out there, please draw fan art of my trained defense lawyer dinosaur princess.
If anyone out there in bonus experience fandom land is good at drawing Thomas the Tank Engine like tank engines, trains, then email us and maybe we'll put together something.
Is this the next idea? Are we doing?
We'll do a reskin. Totally.
It's easy enough to
reskin if somebody can draw good trains.
Exactly.
So obviously the system kind of lends itself to wackiness and shenanigans, as the case may be. What are some of your favorite stories from playtesting this with kids? From playtesting with younger players?
There was one where one of the I think it was a pterodactyl, and one of his words was fiery, and then the drawing the kid drew, this was from a convention, was just like a pterodactyl that was completely on fire.
Oh,
and
yeah.
everything he did was totally about being on fire and setting things on fire. It was so good. And that's the kind of wacky stuff that like an adult may well come up with that, right? But it's the kind of just completely out there idea that kids playing these ideas, these games, like really just love. And they can just run with them. Yeah, but just kind of because one of the ideas is part of that like radical acceptance, radical inclusion idea is that I don't want anybody to say, oh no, that's too wacky for this game. Like this isn't a particularly serious game. This is a game about embracing like any kind of like fun thing that you want to do, putting them all together and seeing what kind of awesome story you tell together.
I mean, yeah, we had giant lobsters attacking a national forest, so
that's pretty good. And now you have the canon of the defense lawyer Train.
Oh so yeah, good. For sure. It's too late to put that in the document.
How do you find kids react to the like gender inclusive ideas you have in here, like the idea that princess is not like a girl thing, like anybody can be a princess? And has anyone gone hog wild with the pronouns once they realize, like, there's not just he and she? Oh my god!
Well, I mean, my pronouns when we played the other day with my Tyrannosaurus cat were like meow, meow, meows.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is awesome.
I haven't seen kids go too wild with pronouns, but I have seen them.
Yep, I mean, partially because the new version of the character, like the character sheets that I've designed kind of most recently are the ones where we had the pronoun listing, because it's always been that, you can have different pronouns in Dinosaur Princess, doesn't mean you're a girl, but we hadn't done like the official character sheets, and they were just kind of haphazard ones, like a couple lines to write down a couple words on, and so there wasn't like the specific slot to call out explicitly pronouns. And I play tested with adults a couple times in that, trying to figure out how the best way to put pronouns on there and get people to actually write pronouns. Originally I had it like, what is your name and your pronouns, and people would only write their name because you can't have two things in one question. And then I made a specific pronoun line, and then people would fill it out. And I'm usually of the belief that you don't give choices, put a blank line and let people identify how they want. But then I was thinking about it, and I was like, but when kids are playing this, they might not have ever understood that they could have different pronouns.
Yeah,
exactly. They could come up with their own pronouns. So now the final version has a list of some pronouns to like help break that. So there's they, them, Zzer, they, them, and then he and she, and then also says, and then create your own.
Yeah.
But that hasn't been play tested with the kids yet.
Yeah, that character, the most recent character sheet, which I think is the final character sheet at this point, is up on the website where people can download it and take a look at them.
Yeah, so if anyone has kids out there, feel free to download it and see what they do and let us know.
So let our listeners know where they can find you on the internet. If they want to follow you, if they want to follow the progress of Dinosaur Princesses, if they want to follow your other stuff.
Yeah, so you can follow sort of our general stuff at www.ardens.org. That's the website, the bloggy thing, and pages about our various games. You can get all the games on DriveThruRPG or from IPR. Dinosaur Princesses itself will be out early next year, probably, from backers. And you can follow me on Twitter at Peregrine Kiwi, or at Ardens Luderay, or at the Sprawl_RPG.
And you can find me on Twitter at Day the Elf. That's 2 E's. And that's basically it. That's basically my vote. But I mean, also, like, as Hamish said, like, Ardens.
And wherever good dinosaurs are sold.
And where,
and deep in your heart, where the Dinosaur Princess magic runs strongest.
But please don't burrow deep into my heart to find me.
Unless you're a cat.
Yeah.
Then you can totally burrow inside me. I'm here for whatever. I serve cats.
It started weird and it ended weird.
I literally almost said exactly the same thing.
About cats or about burrowing?
No, about it getting weird. I actually think just
you both are delightful. Yeah. And I've had a lot of fun talking to you. Yeah, and I've been smiling so big since we first started talking about Dinosaur Princesses. It's made me feel like it's made me feel like I did when I would wake up early to watch cartoons on Saturday morning and eat Fruity Pebbles.
That's the power of Dinosaur Princesses.
Yep. Yeah, and hopefully we'll run into each other at a con. So we will.
Are you going?
Yeah, we'll be at PAX Unplugged. And,
I was just about to ask.
Yeah, we're both going to be running
Unplugged.
Dinosaur Princesses there, and we'll also be at Breakout Con in Toronto in March, running Dinosaur Princesses.
Okay. Monica.
Yeah. So yeah, what
we do our thing now.
Where can we find? Right. We do our thing now. So, if you want to follow the show and enjoy more bonus experience, more of our charming interviews, all of them are as rambly and fun as this one, but not quite as charming as these two lovely people.
No.
Don't say that around. You're gonna hurt Liam's feelings.
Liam's great.
I'm more afraid of Danielle coming to my house and beating me up.
Oh, Danielle will get you. Yeah.
I'm joking.
That's right. You're not a trained lawyer.
Yeah, I'm unfortunately not in real life. Our website is bxpcast.com.
I can be the villain princess that's always tying people to your train tracks.
Good.
I was having trouble thinking of how to tie it in. I'm sorry. What's our website?
Our website is bxpcast.com. If you want to follow us on Twitter, we are at bonusexpcast. And if you want to send us an email, if you have a question and you want us to help you solve a GM thing, if you have a design thing you want us to fiddle around with on air, if you just want to tell us how great we are, you can email us at bonusexpcast@gmail.com, which goes directly to my phone, and I check it while I'm at work.
And then she'll tell me if something important comes through, and I should check it too.
Yes, that is what happens. And if you want to follow me personally to see what I'm retweeting lately, I don't do a whole lot of original content on Twitter. I mostly just retweet stuff that is either political or funny. You can follow me at ZenithSun.
If you want to follow me for some reason, I'm not going to judge you. I'm Ray_Cole on Twitter. I also have my own website now. It's raywcole.com, and I'm revamping my blog to talk about novel writing and the whole traditional publishing journey and give advice on, how to go from having a shitty first draft to actually having people offer money for it, which is still sort of confusing and mind-blowing, but that's neither here nor there. I think that's it.
Yeah. I had a thing I was going to say and it just jumped right out of my head.
Well, it's too late.
Yep, it's too late. All right, well.
Everybody get out.
All right. Change it if you want to. Change it if you want to.
All aboard.
All aboard.
Thanks for listening. Bonus Experience is written and produced by Monica and Ray. Our cover art and logo are by Nino Studios. Our theme song is Reuse Noise with the Light by CDK and is used under the Attribution Non-Commercial Creative Commons license. This podcast confers the benefits of a long rest. We'll see you next time.